At 1:41 p.m. on May 18, 1944, Lieutenant Commander Walton Pendleton watched the sonar operator of the USS England point to the green marker on his screen. There, 130 feet deep in the South Pacific, was the Japanese submarine I-16. Pendleton had 24 65-pound projectiles mounted on the bow of his destroyer escort. The problem was that no commander in the fleet trusted that weapon. They called it the Hedgehog. And for the past 18 months, it had become the Royal Navy's most expensive joke. The weapon looked ridiculous, 24 small mortars mounted in rows, projecting from the ship's bow like quills. The idea was simple: fire projectiles ahead of the ship while still maintaining sonar contact, and they would fall in a 40-meter diameter circular pattern, about 180 meters ahead. But there was a problem: the projectiles only exploded on direct contact with something solid. If they didn't hit the submarine, they simply sank silently to the ocean floor. No explosion meant no feedback, and the ship's commander didn't know if they had missed or if the submarine had escaped. Depth charges were different. They exploded at a set depth, made the ocean boil, and crushed submarine hulls 200 yards away. When you dropped depth charges, you knew you were attacking. You could see the explosions. The Hedgehog was silent, and because of this, no one believed it could hit. Commander Charles Goodeve of the Royal Navy's Department of Miscellaneous Weapons Development knew he had a problem. Not a technical problem, but a political one. It was early 1943. The Hedgehog had entered service in 1942, with the first confirmed U-boat sinkings happening in November 1942. But ship captains refused to use it, preferring depth charges. Goodeve was Canadian, a brilliant chemist who had moved to England for his PhD. When the war began, he joined the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve and worked on developing degaussing systems. In 1940, he formed a small, experimental team, nicknamed the Weezers and Dodgers. Goodeve's team worked at the Admiralty Arch, and one of its members was Lieutenant Commander N.S. Norway, better known by his author name, Naval. They produced resounding successes and sublimely comical failures, like the Panjandrum, a rocket-propelled beach demolition weapon that spun wildly across the beach during tests. But they also produced the Hedgehog. And Goodeve knew it worked. The problem wasn't the weapon, it was the doctrine. It was the psychology. Ship commanders had spent 3 years fighting U-boats with depth charges, and the Hedgehog inverted all of that: fire ahead of the ship, maintain sonar contact, no explosion unless it hits, all in silence. Goodeve sent an officer to improve training. The kill rate improved considerably. By the end of the war, statistics showed that on average, 1 in 5 Hedgehog attacks resulted in a kill, compared to less than 1 in 80 with depth charges. A single direct hit by a Hedgehog bomb was usually enough to sink a U-boat. But the numbers didn't matter if the commanders didn't trust the weapon. And then came May 1944. The USS England, a Buckley-class destroyer escort of the United States Navy. 306 feet long, commissioned December 10, 1943. Escort duty between Espiritu Santo and Guadalcanal. Just another destroyer escort doing convoy work. And equipped with a Hedgehog launcher mounted on the bow. On May 13, 1944, the Pacific Fleet radio unit intercepted and decoded a message from the Japanese submarine I-16. The England, along with the destroyer escorts USS George and USS Raby, were ordered to intercept the I-16. On the afternoon of May 18, the England detected the I-16. Pendleton ordered the first Hedgehog attack. It missed. A second attack scored a hit. The I-16 outmaneuvered a fourth Hedgehog attack. The fifth Hedgehog attack, at 2:33 p.m., resulted in 4 to 6 detonations and was followed by a large underwater explosion that lifted the England's stern and knocked men off their feet. Debris began to float to the surface 20 minutes later, and the next day, there was a 3 by 6 nautical mile oil slick. The I-16 was dead. The England's first sinking. But naval intelligence had decoded another message on May 20th, revealing Japanese plans for a submarine trapped north of the Admiralty Islands. 7 Japanese submarines formed a patrol line. The 3 destroyer escorts began sweeping the line. On May 22 at 3:50 a.m., the George detected RO-106 on radar. The England regained contact at 4:25 a.m., missed with 1 Hedgehog attack, but scored at least 3 detonations on a second attack at 5:01 a.m. A large underwater explosion was detected. Heavy oil slick with debris after sunrise. 2 submarines in 4 days. The next day, May 23, the 3 destroyer escorts encountered RO-104. After the Raby and George missed their Hedgehog attacks, the England began 2 attacks, hitting with 10 to 12 projectiles on the second, followed by a tremendous underwater explosion. 3 submarines in 6 days. On May 24, they found RO-105. The England missed with a first Hedgehog attack and scored about 10 or 12 detonations on a second attack, followed by breaking up noises and a large underwater explosion 3 minutes later. 4 submarines in 7 days. Division Commander Haynes was starting to realize something extraordinary. All 4 had been sunk by the England. When they encountered RO-116 at 1:20 a.m. on May 24, Haynes ordered the England to make the attack. The England made sonar contact and scored 3 to 5 detonations on the first Hedgehog attack at 2:14 a.m. Breaking up noises were not followed by the large explosions noted in earlier sinkings. A small amount of oil and debris was evident after sunrise. 5 submarines in 9 days. On May 26, they found RO-108. After the Raby and George missed, Division Commander Haynes got on the radio, "Oh, hell. Go ahead, England." The England then scored 6 to 10 detonations on a Hedgehog attack at 7:36 a.m. A large explosion followed at 7:41 a.m. 6 Japanese submarines in 12 days. A single ship. A single weapon system. This anti-submarine warfare performance was never equaled in World War II. It earned the England a Presidential Unit Citation and the assurance from Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral E.J. King, "There will always be an England in the United States Navy." The record stands to this day. 6 submarines sunk in 12 days by a single ship. No other ship in the history of anti-submarine warfare has come close. The Hedgehog, that weapon no one wanted to use, that porcupine that looked ridiculous, that mortar system that fired silent projectiles that only exploded on contact, proved to be the deadliest anti-submarine weapon of World War II. And all because a Canadian chemist named Charles Goodhart believed it would work, even when no one else did.